So, hello everybody, and welcome to this fifth episode of Southern Summers and Northern Winters. Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I am terrific, Anders. Another day living the dream, as I said before. Just summer's coming along. The weekend was 35 degrees on Saturday here, and it was rather warm, I must say. Probably a little bit too warm for my liking, but you know what? Where there's a house, there's an air conditioner, and away we go.
Yeah. It's a little funny that you say that, because here in Munich it's morning. It's slightly after 9 o'clock in the morning, and we have frost at night, and it's a crispy, clear blue morning, but it's cold. And we've had last week we had our first snow of the season, so it's really winter is coming.
I actually think that the coldest day I've ever been in, it was a beautiful blue morning in Poland. The sun was out and it was like minus 19 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's always, I don't spend much time in the winter, obviously, like you guys, but it's generally colder on a clear day, isn't it? Than a cloudy day.
Yeah. I remember, this reminds me, when I was doing, in my previous life and career, I would occasionally do business trips to Finland, and I was attending a meeting far north of the polar circle, in a city called Rovaniemi. And I don't know if you've been there, Mark, but during the Finns say
Santa Claus who said that, didn't he?
I was just about to say that. Yeah. According to the Finns, this is where Santa Claus has his home. But I exited the airplane. It was one of those, you stay on the tarmac, and there's a ladder coming, or a staircase being rolled up to the airplane, and you go out into the air. I mean, really, there's no gangway or anything. So it's just, and it was minus 35 degrees.
Ooh, that's serious, isn't it?
And I had a business suit on, and didn't wear my jacket, and it was just oh. So it was.
I've never been up there. I've been to Helsinki maybe twice, maybe three times actually, but only stayed there once and transited there a few times. But my main memory of Helsinki was that it was a very maybe uninspiring city. There wasn't too much there to see or do. It was just humdrum, I would call it. Helsinki.
What time of the year was it that you were there?
It was summer. It was nice. Like the one thing I actually do remember about Finland and about Helsinki was that I reckon it had the bluest sky of anywhere I'd ever been on a nice sunny day. Like nice enough city, but somewhere that you wouldn't need to stay any longer than a couple of days, because I don't think there's all that much there to see in the big picture. The buildings are nice, the esplanade or the promenade that leads down to the wharf is really nice. Often have a market down in there. There's a bit of green space, but other than that, there wasn't a great deal to do in Helsinki.
I'm not sure the Finns would agree, but but it's not. No, it's a different culture. It's a different culture, and even within the Scandinavian region, in the Nordic region, Finland is not part of Scandinavia. Scandinavia is just Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, and the Faroe Islands, I guess. The Nordic region includes Finland, but Finland is a different. It really is a different culture. They're closer to Russia. They're bordering up to Russia. But historically, it's just we don't even understand. In Scandinavia, the language branch is more or less the same. Swedes and Norwegians and Danes, they sort of understand each other. At least if they want to understand one another, then it's possible. But Finnish is a completely different language. It's I don't understand a word of Finnish. So that's but still, I for one have enjoyed Finland many times on business trips. And as I said, that it can be very, very cold in the winter. Minus 35 degrees was really the coldest I've ever been. So it was all about going down that stairway and into the bus and into the airport terminal and to the hotel and get some warm, appropriate clothes on because it was really cold. It was really cold.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I'm not, like I said, I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of the cold weather, but I'm not a huge fan of the hot weather either. If I could plan somewhere to live that was 20 to 25 degrees all year round, I would
Yeah.
be all over that. Okay, so I have actually got something to talk about.
Yeah. Let's have it.
Now,
Mark, what's on your mind this morning or this evening for you?
I'm always interested on how people take their kids out of school to travel. I know that in Australia we were able to. So sorry, a bit of background. I took our kids out of school for 13 months to travel full time. One of them was in high school in year 8, so she skipped all of year 8. Another one was in grade 5, so she skipped all of grade 5 to travel. I know this is harder in some countries, and I remember speaking to you about it, and you told me that it's nearly impossible in Germany. Is that correct?
You can't do that here. No, you have school is you have to be present, physically present at school from school year 0 to and up and including 9th grade. You have to be. It's obligatory to go to school. So yeah, we can't do what you are doing, because you just have an obligation to educate your kids, right?
Pretty much. Like it's more in Australia or in Victoria, anyway, where we were. It was more at the whim of the school. Not that probably would have mattered, because in the big picture, you can just take your kids out of school, and if you're out of the country, then they basically don't have to be enrolled anywhere. If you're in Australia. So basically, I could have just withdrawn them from school and left the country, obviously, still being an Australian citizen with plans to come back. And there would not have been, there's nothing that they can do if you do it that way. And I know you can probably do that anywhere, really, but you run the risk, I guess, of when you go back to your home base of trying to get your kids back into that school, possibly. That would be your only downfall. Like there may not be a place for them.
Oh, yeah.
Still at that school. But I'm losing track here. So when we went, we just went to our local school and said, we want to take our kids out of school for 12 months. And they were more than happy with that. They said, yep, no worries. Actually, they were very forthcoming with saying, we think that's a great idea and that they will learn possibly far more on the road traveling than they will in school at that stage, because when we travel, we're not ones to just go and sit on the beach or something like that. Like we like to go to museums and historical sites and do things like that. So they were always going to be learning, and the school was very encouraging for us to do that.
Yes.
As for doing schoolwork, they supplied us with a little bit of schoolwork here and there, and I had really big plans of making them do a lot of schoolwork. And when I say plans, that was the plan, but the plan soon broke down. I must admit, more.
How's
more
that?
To my through their reluctance to do any schoolwork.
Oh, yeah.
And my short attempts at trying to get them to do a lot of schoolwork sort of failed a bit in that retrospect. But not much to my surprise, when they came back, they slotted effortlessly back into school, like they had not left school, basically.
Yeah.
And I think the year Willow got back to school, she got an honours award in one of her classes. Marley was above average in all her classes on her reports. So in the big picture, I don't actually think it hurt my kids one little bit to take them out of school.
The contrary.
For 12 months.
Yeah.
Possibly what did hurt them, though, was that after we got back, COVID broke out shortly after, and then they were basically out of school for another 12 months. That was probably the more detrimental part. So, so I don't know. I know England also have a fine system taking your kids out of school as well. But
Do you know why the Germans think like they do in this regard?
no,
It's because it goes back to this is just what I've heard, and if there are any Germans listening in, they can comment. Please do. But from what I've heard, it's that it was after the Second World War. They wanted to, the Germans wanted to make sure that everybody got a proper education, a proper basic education, without any indoctrination, religious or political, so that you know the reasons for Second World War couldn't be repeated. Yeah. So it's to have basically to have the goal is to have an unbiased fundamental education for everybody. And in order for that to happen, back then they thought, you need to be present so we can make sure that everybody gets this. Yeah. I guess it does make sense, particularly in Germany, where they really do not want to forget what happened during the Second World War. They no longer feel guilty. I guess this current generation. I mean, this happened. This was something that their great grandparents and grandparents were part of. So today's modern generation, they really don't feel any guilt, but they do feel an obligation to not forget in order for things not to repeat. So this is the reason why they want everybody to go to school and physically be present. Another thing which is beneficial now, they because I can compare this to my my native Denmark, where like in Australia, you have a sort of an obligation to educate your child, but you don't have to be physically present at school. There is a chance for some migrants to sort of create or immigrants to sort of create a parallel community where they can teach their kids whatever they want to teach them without having to send them to an official public school. And it happens in Denmark. It can't happen in Germany because all children that are officially here with a license to stay or a permit, they have to go to school. They have to go to a German school. So I guess that's sort of the upside of it all. You can't make these parallel communities.
So you can't homeschool in Germany?
No, it's not. No. It's not allowed. Yeah,
that is pretty strict, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Homeschooling is a big movement these days. Like,
yeah,
lots of countries, I think. Like, just.
And this is what you can do in Denmark. You are allowed to homeschool in Denmark, but it's not. It's. I don't think it's highly regarded because again, this then falls on the parents and their ability to do this properly. I can understand, and Denmark is a small country. I mean, there's the distance compared to, for instance, Australian distances. I mean, we in Denmark, within I would say 20 minutes, there's a public school, no matter where you live. It's different in Australia, so homeschooling obviously is is needed.
You know what? In all honesty, I couldn't think of too many worse things to do than sit with my kids for 8 hours a day to try and teach them.
I wouldn't have the patience.
No way. No. Leave it to the people who get paid to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also wouldn't be a teacher for all the money in the world these days. Like I see things that go on, and there's little or no respect anymore for teachers in our society.
Western society in general.
Western society in general these days, because kids know their rights and they know that teachers, can't punish them basically, and police can't punish them if they're under 18, and so there's absolutely no retribution at all for underage kids.
No, it's sad. I mean, education and knowledge is more important now than ever, and the teachers really should be paid like CEOs.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
definitely.
But you're right. In terms of taking your kid out of school and travel, see things, other cultures, other countries, is most likely more beneficial than having that one-way teaching from the board down to the classroom, where there's little to no interaction. And I believe in that. I believe in traveling.
I mean, they all need that, but you can certainly have a mixture of it where you should be able to take your kids out to do something like that, especially if you're going to, I don't believe in kids sitting around home doing nothing because they want a day off or something like that. But if you're going to go and do something worthwhile that's going to, make them better world citizens and, a bit more understanding and a bit more tolerant of, of what's going on with other cultures and other religions, and it can only really be a good thing, I guess, in the end. But yeah, so that's my little bit.
Agree.
If anyone out there listening lives in any other countries, drop us a line and tell us what the situation's like in your country in regards to taking kids out of school. Now, another point, I know last week we were touching on, actually, no, not that point. What I was going to say was, it's Black Friday sales time.
Yeah.
Have you ever buy travel on Black Friday sales? Like, I've never booked a trip or a ticket or anything like that on a Black Friday sale, not for any known reason. I just have never sort of waited around for it to come up. I generally just book them when they come up. But I do see a lot of good travel sales going around it.
Oh yeah.
So, but I'm more generally buying things like suitcases and travel accessories and things like that come on sale than flights. So
in general, I am. I don't know. There's a lot of in my other work, in my daily work, we are having because that's consumer goods that I work with, and that's Black Friday is a big thing. But we are always, because I represent a rather sustainable company with ecological and ecology is a big thing and sustainability is a big thing. So we're kind of a little bit edgy on the Black Friday thing, because it comes across not always being sustainable, because people buy stuff they really do not need. But in terms of services and travels, I actually think it would be a good idea, because if you are already on the look for something and you're already scanning the market for airline tickets or hotel accommodation or whatever, and if a good offer comes up, why not? By all means.
It's more like Black Friday month these days. Like, it used to be the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there was like Cyber Monday or something, and now the sales start like 2 weeks out before Black Friday. Now there's always stuff on sale.
You should always look at the before price, because that's what where they typically will scam you, is that they will just raise the before price, and then you really just pay the same. Yeah. But if you are like I know you are, Mark, you're scanning the markets constantly for airline tickets, and you really what an airfare to, let's say, China, what it should cost. I mean, come on. So you really would know when a Black Friday offer comes up, if it's a good offer or not.
Definitely, I would hope so. Anyway, speaking of China, my daughter went to a Christmas market in China on the weekend. So looked much like something you'd find in Europe. There was like wooden stalls and things like this. No snow, but it does snow in the town she was in. So actually, the day after we arrive, I'm going to go and have a look at this, because
absolutely,
as I've said before, I've been to a few big Christmas markets in Europe and a few small Christmas markets in Europe. So I'm actually really keen to go and have a look at this Christmas market in China and see what it's like. It looked similar. It looked like they were selling, little handicrafts and little gingerbreads and all this sort of stuff like that. So so it actually looked quite similar to, except for the fake grass that it was on. It was on like one of them fake grass. It was very green.
But we can chat about the Christmas markets a little bit because this is something I had planned as well. One of my topics because they are opening this week. This coming Friday is the big opening of most European Christmas markets, and I'd like to ask you what you've been to quite a few. What's your favorite? What's your favorite city or your favorite Christmas market?
I've been to Strasbourg. Strasbourg in France was really nice.
I saw the photo.
Prague was really nice as well. Munich was really nice. I've been to Berlin. Probably some of my favorite markets are in the Alsace in France. They just near Strasbourg, but like Colmar, Kaiserberg, even Freiburg in Germany was really nice as well. So not as big and as well known as some of the others, but actually there's this one just out of Freiburg in Germany, and I'm going to pronounce this really wrong, and someone will look it up and I'll have no idea. It was called Ravensschlut, and it was out in the edge of the Black Forest, and it was set underneath I would say 100-foot high old brick train bridge, trestle bridge, and this market was this in this bit of clearing in the forest, and apparently it's still there, and it goes on you actually got to buy tickets in advance to go to it because it gets so packed. And actually, it was one of the coldest places I've ever been the night we went there. I was so cold when we were there, but that's beside the point. But Colmar's a really outstanding market, and it's one of the more really popular ones. But I tell you what, one of the places that I really enjoyed most going to a market was Pilsen in the Czech Republic. We stopped there for a night just on the way from. I think we were going to Berlin. I think so. We went from Munich, and we went from Munich to Pilsen to Berlin. Yes. So we cut into the Czech Republic way because it was just as fast. And we rolled into the city. I wasn't looking for it because we were actually going to the Pilsner Urquell, or however they pronounce the beer.
Brewery.
We're going to the brewery there, to this famous brewery. I went there, but then we walked into the old town, and there was this fantastic market in the old town. It wasn't overly packed because it was, Pilsen's not, I wouldn't say is not big on the tourist trail for a lot of people. It was really traditional. It was nice. There was good music, good food. The prices were reasonable. So it was really off the tourist trail a bit, and it was probably one of the markets that really, really sticks in my mind a lot. But as for just in general in Christmas, Warsaw, Poland was one of the best cities I've ever been to. They had Christmas lights that were amazing. I'd never seen anything like it, and they stretched all the way through this main street in the city for about 3 kilometers. So it was lit up.
Wow.
It was absolutely outstanding. So I've been to, like I said, a few of the really big markets, and they're all well worth going to. But the year we went to a lot of these, we went to about 10, I reckon, in 1 year, and by the end of it, I was like, okay, I've had enough.
I've done it. The way it goes. Yeah, you know what? As you were talking about this, the Colmar and the Strasbourg markets, they sort of look like Europe used to look like 500 years ago, right? This is I think we mentioned this before in the podcast. It's Central European history. This is a little piece of Central European history. The Christmas markets. This weekend, some of the Christmas markets in Copenhagen opened, and it didn't come across very well because there is not a long tradition for Christmas markets in Denmark, oddly enough. They've sort of like exported this German Christmas market concept and just placed it in Copenhagen, even with international vendors and they hardly speak any Danish, and they sell sauerkraut, they sell bratwurst without translating that into some local Danish folklore. So it does not. I mean, as a Dane, as a Dane going to a Christmas market, you can enjoy it for what it is, but it has nothing to do with Danish culture, and that was the criticism, because I mean, if they were going to have like traditional Danish Christmas markets, it would be like crafts and of course a bit of food, obviously, and drink, but it wouldn't be glühwein. It would be glück, which is a different type of molded wine, mulled wine. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's coming because there's a commercial interest, obviously.
Definitely.
But
in the last 10 years, like the popularity or people wanting to visit European Christmas markets has exploded. So like all good things, we try and export any good concept to all four corners of the world because someone thinks they can make $1. Christmas markets in Melbourne, like, and it doesn't really relate to Australia because it's summer, like when these markets are on, so you sort of go, and if you've ever been to Europe, winter's part of Christmas, as you
it is,
but it gets cold, you get in the mood, so it's a little bit hard to feel the same way about it when it's 35 degrees and you're walking around sweating. Like,
did you have mulled wine then, or?
No, had cold wine. They did have mulled wine, but they had cold mulled wine.
Okay, yeah, well, that could be nice too. I mean, it's just really about the spices that they put into it. That's a bit of cinnamon and.
Not a big fan of the hot wine.
It gets very sweet.
To it.
Yeah,
and I can't come to it. I'm like, I'm very much a cold drink person, being Australian.
Me too.
I probably never even drank hot drinks. I probably only last 10 years am I a coffee person. Before that, I would never drink anything hot at all. So, and I still actually enjoy my coffee probably more once I've left it sitting on the bench for half an hour and it's gone, nearly cold to be. To be in all honesty with you. So yeah, I find the glühwein, 1 cup, like you said, is enough. I always have one wherever we go because each market is different because the wine comes from a different region. So it's
true.
It's part of the tradition to go and try one, but one is probably enough.
One is enough. Yeah, because it really gets it's very sweet. It's not even because I mean, yeah, sure, you can have what the locals here do is that you can add a shot of rum or whiskey or whatever you would like, Bailey, Irish cream, something like that, to it. But if you don't do that, it's really not strong. It's just it's.
If you want a good wine, just go and drink a wine. Don't ruin it by tricking it up with to make it really sweet, I guess, because there's plenty of good wine in France and Germany and places like that where they serve the glühwein, so just drink the wine.
Yeah, really, I agree. Yeah, no, so Christmas markets are up. I'll try to get into one probably this Friday already, and there's a little local one opening just around the corner from us, and we'll try to go there. I can send some photos so that listeners can see what the mood is like.
Do they still have that? Do they still have that medieval Christmas market in Munich?
Yes, they do. They have the medieval, and that's actually something that's really nice because that's where unique. It is unique, and you can get in there and have. They call it medieval glühwein. Obviously, it's. I don't know if the recipe is originally from medieval times, but yeah, you can also get some food that you don't get elsewhere. That has a more medieval feel to it, but yeah, it's all about the atmosphere and obviously the all the crafts that you can buy. You can buy clothes. You can buy. Typically, what you can buy is my wife always says, the stuff the world really don't need. But
there's plenty of that around, isn't there?
But like socks and house shoes and a warm sweater and some.
That's
Yeah.
That's another typically European thing is house shoes. Like no one has house shoes.
No, you have your,
In Australia,
you have your Crocs.
Yeah, you have Crocs. I've got a pair of Crocs on now. To
Yeah,
be honest with you. But I don't know. Like I don't wear shoes inside. Like I flip my Crocs off or my thongs or flip flops. I don't know what you want to call them over there.
Yeah.
If Americans are listening, it's not a thong that you wear. It's not a pair of undies thong.
No. It's on your feet.
That's a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And typically in Australia, you get to the back door and you just take your shoes off and go inside. Maybe in winter you might have your socks on, but yeah, it's another one of them things. Another one of them cultural differences between Europe and Australia that we seem to dig into one each week or so at this rate. So house shoes are not a thing, but I've been to places in Europe where they hang, like a little thing on the back of the door that's full of shoes that you can take, your little house slippers. I've actually got one hanging on my wall here in this shed actually that we brought back from Poland. 10 years ago, and I don't reckon any of the shoes have ever been. But it's hanging over there in a little felt thing that you put your shoes in, and so
it's absolutely true. Because, and I'll tell you why that is. That's because in many old buildings in Europe, you obviously you have heating. That's for sure. But the floors will get cold during the winter. So we all wear house shoes. Simply not to because if your feet gets cold, that's when your whole body starts to get cold. Yeah. So But if you live in a modern building, a newly built, I would say within the last 25 years, underfloor heating has become a thing. So you don't even have the radiators anymore. You just have underfloor heating, and that will distribute the heating in the whole home differently.
Yeah.
And there will be no like cold corners and rooms because all the floors are not hot but comfortably warm, and your feet will stay warm, meaning that your whole body will stay.
So do you have house shoes for the summer, or are they just the same shoes? Like
no, in the summer I don't really wear house shoes. That's just like in like thongs or slippers or whatever. Yeah. So I am a kind of a bare feet person as well. I really enjoy that when I can. For years I haven't really. In the winter I wear socks, but in the summer I don't. And this is probably will come across as a bit gross to some people, but I just slip into my shoes without socks, and then of course they start to stink at some point. But I make sure I can put them in the washing machine. It's
washing machine and washing.
And use some disinfectant. Rinsing whatever, so that and I do that on a regular basis. So yeah, it's just to as much as possible bare feet. Absolutely, I agree.
I like it. It's good.
Yeah,
actually, I like walking around on the grass bare feet. It's a good. It's a nice connection to the earth.
That's what they say. It has a healing. It has a healing aspect. If you can find somewhere with no poisonous insects and stuff in living in the grass, going bare feet in the grass is actually a really good thing. And if you've never done it, it's I remember when Anton was he was a toddler, the first time his bare feet touched grass was really funny, because we were holding him out like both arms, and we would sit him down on the grass, and he didn't like that. He was like it was all tickly under his feet, and he's but it has a healing effect, and it's really soothing. So how's that planning of the China trip coming along, Mark? Are you have you? I mean, I know it's not
only 3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today. Yeah.
3 weeks from today.
So how long before do you start packing things? Well, mentally maybe before, but I mean,
that's a good question. I actually considered going down the shed today and taking my suitcase up into the house or in my office where we record this. I generally keep the suitcases because I don't have a great deal of room in the house to keep them. So I had considered doing that today because, funnily enough, I went and bought a couple of new pairs of shorts and a couple of new t-shirts yesterday or the day before. So I was like, I should just get my suitcase and just put them straight in there because I will need them. And there's no use putting them into the rotation in my drawer at this stage. Because I want to take them with me. So I generally go and buy when we're going to Asia, because it's really sweaty and Bangkok will be. I generally go and buy a couple of cheap black t-shirts before I go anywhere, because I've fallen into the habit of taking light t-shirts before, and it looks like you've taken a bath or a swim. Walking around. So I try and take a steady stream of black t-shirts whenever I travel.
Which also, Asia. If you go to a very hot and sunny country, I mean, wearing black is also it will attract.
Makes it hotter too.
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I've actually got I have a packing system for Asia. Okay, so whenever we go anywhere in Asia, I have a 5-5-5 system. I take 5 t-shirts, 5 pairs of shorts, 5 pairs of socks, and 5 pairs of boxer shorts. And that's my standard pack, because I know that nearly anywhere I go in Asia, I'm not going to need a jumper and I'm not going to need a pair of pants. So what I do is I wear a jumper and a pair of pants on the plane on the way over. So then I've got a pair, and that's generally all I take. So I can generally get enough washing done all the time to make everything clean and fresh. So that's my standard pack. But this time it'll be a bit different because, like we said, we're going to go to China and it's going to be 2 degrees, and I'm going to go to Bangkok a few days later and it's going to be 35 degrees. So I'm going to have to take a few extra pairs of pants. Maybe I'm definitely going to have to take a coat and a jumper and some gloves and a beanie probably as well.
A beanie as well. You have your Munich beanie still, don't you?
I do have it. Yes, it's in my drawer.
Yeah.
But I lost one of the tassels off the side the other day, so I've only got one that dangles down that side now. So but I do still have that, most definitely. And Willow had one too, and I actually took it over to her when we visited China in September to wear. So I'm not quite sure. I might have to invade some of my wife's suitcase space, because I travel just with a carry-on suitcase with the small I try and do that. Even though I check it, I just don't like taking big bags, because you arrive at an issue when there's 3 or 4 of you traveling and everyone's got a big suitcase, and that issue is that you cannot fit them in the back of a taxi or an Uber or a Diddy or a Grab, so that you end up having to get 2. So it costs you twice the price, because no one can fit 4 big suitcases in the back of their boot, basically.
True. Yeah.
So we try and take one big suitcase, which Rebecca takes, and that's more not for clothes, but when we go to Asia, it's more for souvenirs and clothes that she can buy there, because it's cheap. So, and I take a small carry-on. Marley takes a small carry-on, and Willow generally takes a small carry-on. Plus, we take a backpack. So we end up checking the carry-ons, but it's just more for convenience, because sometimes I think that the more room you've got, the more stuff you're likely to take, whether you need it or not. Because I've taken big suitcases before, and what happens is, if you take a lot of clothes, whatever you've been wearing gets dirty, and you put it in a pile, and then you get it washed, and then that stuff comes back and goes straight back on the top of your suitcase, and then you just wear that again. So you're only generally wearing 50% of the stuff you've got, and that's the stuff that's getting freshly washed and put back on the top of your suitcase all the time. So So it's a bizarre tactic, but so my 5-5-5-5 packing system works.
I use the exact same system. It's just a 7-7, because I don't want to wash more than once a week. So it's just
that's true.
Yeah.
In Asia, sometimes I have to wear 2 t-shirts a day, because you're out and about. By the time you come home, and after a full day, my t-shirt will be fairly wet and sweaty.
Yeah,
so
true.
I sometimes have to wear 2 if I'm going back out at night. I'll have to put on a fresh t-shirt, but If not, I'll just take it off and hang out in the apartment, without my t-shirt on. But yeah, generally I find that that's pretty easy to get washing done over there. And plus I'm getting an extra pair really because I'm wearing a set of clothes as well.
Yeah.
So really I've got 6 t-shirts and 6 socks and 6 jocks going on.
Really? Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the realistic part of it for me. You can always buy clothes anyway, especially if you're going to Asia. You can pick up a t-shirt for $2 or $3, something like that.
True.
So yeah, so
which you probably will do anyway. I mean, you probably want to have like a souvenir t-shirt or something like that.
I don't really buy anything when I travel anymore. It's quite surprising. My wife buys a lot of stuff, but I used to be a big souvenir buyer of like fridge magnets and all sorts of knickknacks. And you can go into a box in the side of my shed over there and you'll find a box full of it. So I reckon probably for the last 5 years, occasionally I might buy a fridge magnet if something takes my fancy and somewhere we go. But other than that, I generally don't buy anything else anymore. I don't even buy a t-shirt to say I've been there. So it's just, I don't know, memories are best made in your head and with your eyes.
That's true. That is true. Do you because I wanted to about the packing and making mental notes before packing, and so I guess you would also need almost a separate bag for all your technical stuff. I mean,
well, I do. So I carry a lot of that in my backpack, which is why I take a backpack as well. So generally I'll be taking, a drone. Sometimes I take 2 drones. I've also got a GoPro that I take in case we go in the water. Then I've got a DJI Osmo gimbal I take as well. So I take a fair bit of equipment when we go, and luckily I offload some of that into my wife's large suitcase.
That's because it's not just the devices themselves, because they come with cables and chargers and so that
cables.
That whole
cable. Laptop cables are heavy. When you put that in your bag, so my backpack, that'll be all that's in there. So if I take my backpack, there'll be my laptop will be in there, and my laptop charger, and then there'll be a case for the GoPro, and then there'll be a case for the DJI gimbal, and then there'll be a small case for the drone, and that'll be basically 7 kilos without putting anything else.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not just the devices themselves; it's really everything that comes with them. Yeah,
I tried to scale down a bit, but it's really hard to scale down a lot. Like I bought a really small drone to take, which was a lot better. It doesn't go as high as the DJI one, but it does some nice little shots. And is everyone enough to make some decent video for our YouTube channel, because I found us taking a drone, and the options to put them up are getting slimmer and slimmer in a lot of places. It's tighter and tighter and hard to get places to put them up. Honestly, the country I thought which would really be hard, China, is not hard at all. People just put them up anyway. So quite bizarre too.
Which is quite odd, because I mean here in Germany you're not allowed to fly drones anywhere. I mean you need a license to do that.
Very strange. But so my backpack is definitely taken up with cables as well. I'll take a pencil case full of USB cables, and then you need charging ports and and adapters and all sorts of stuff to charge everyone's devices. So everyone's got a phone charging overnight, and got 2 cameras charging overnight, and then I need a hard drive to download it all off just in case something happens to any of the cameras.
Absolutely, extra memory cards maybe, and also I don't know if this is a thing, but like a plug-in adapter, because no power sockets are the same, so you probably need an adapter for that. Also,
universal adapter. You
probably also need like a power socket, kind of a 5 or 10 socket.
Like a power board or a power strip.
Exactly. Because what I usually find is that in hotel rooms, sometimes you have one
power point
somewhere in the corner, and it's just
they do that on purpose, don't they? Just to give you the shits. That's all they do. So I get that too. yeah, and like, you know, I've got a pack for the kids too, like, you know, because they're like, I need a charger and I need a cable and I need a cord and I need this and I need that, and you know, and hell have no fury like children when their phones go flat and they've got no internet access. You know, they've got nothing better to do but annoy you when that happens. So you know, so I've got to keep their stuff charged up too. But I generally have like some little Ziploc bags, and I have 3 of them set up all the time that go into the cupboard, and they've each got a cable and a universal charger and a power bank in them, so that I can just go, okay, here's yours, and here's yours when we get there.
Yeah. That's we kind of had the same system, apart from which Anton is now in charge of packing his own, you know, technical stuff, and that doesn't keep him from asking, you know, where's my this and where's my that? Is well, I don't know. You packed it yourself. I hope you packed it yourself.
That's it. It's only one person's fault.
Yeah, but just like you, it can get annoying if he doesn't have his phone and his entertainment. So I always make sure that I have an extra charger just in case he.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because you know, either he doesn't know where to find it right away, or something happens and they break.
Better to take too much than too little these days. But it seems like most things are going towards USB-C charging anyway.
Yeah.
Away from the actual power point, you know, besides the actual, you know, charger you need to put in the wall. Most things these days seem to be charged by USB-C. I can charge my laptop with USB-C.
Yeah.
Nearly everything these days can be charged with a USB-C or a USB, you know, the old style mini, I think it's called a mini USB cable, which everything used to be charged on, like my JBL speaker here that's still charged on the old style. But
yeah, it's becoming the standard, particularly in Europe, within the European Union. Even Apple has to oblige to or comply with the rules, because Apple has had their own ecosystem of chargers, but now they've been forced to use the USB-C standard. I think it's good. I think it's there's way too much electronic junk being made with all kinds of various ecosystems, and it's really not necessary. I mean, are you having a technical issue? Mark is, I can see on my screen here, he's, are you, can you hear me?
I was running out of charge, so I had to charge one side of my headphones at the same time as I've got them plugged in. It came up.
Oh, okay.
Battery running low, so I was like, okay, I need to. So I look like a bit of a Martian. I've got a cord going out of each side. Looks like I'm plugged into life support on my headphones at the moment, but it's because I just leave. I don't use headphones very often, except when you're pretty much been down here the last few. Yeah, so I sort of take them off when we finish on a Monday night, and I sit them on the bench, and then I come down every Monday night and I go, oh, I haven't charged them. Again, so now I've had to plug them back in.
So I look forward to hearing about the packing process over the next couple of weeks, where you're at next week at this time. Yeah. So
one of the things I probably will do, and what we did when we traveled long term, even though we were going to Asia for 8 months, we knew we would need coats, like when we got to Europe. So we basically got some cable ties and rolled our coats up into like a sausage shape and strapped them as tight as we could, and then just put another cord through it so we could hang them over the top of our suitcase handle, and then we could just take them as carry-on. So because a coat takes up a hell of a lot of room in your suitcase, like
it does.
You know, the puffer jacket sort of stuff that we all wear these days. So that'll be one thing I will definitely be doing, is rolling my coat up.
I've seen these bags. You can buy them online. You can put your stuff that takes out a lot of room, but has very little actual physical substance. You can put them into a bag and then hoover it with your vacuum cleaner.
Oh yes, the suction bags. I've got a couple of them here somewhere.
Yeah, so that's
I could roll
actually
clothes up.
Yeah.
This one's just rolled. You didn't even need the Hoover. You just sort of rolled it until the air come out. And then I don't know why I'm doing hand actions here to show people you can't see the hand actions that I'm actually doing. Maybe it'll pop up in one of the videos I put on the YouTube channel. But yeah, I've got hand actions going on to show Anders.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But packing tips and tricks. I mean, my wife has taught me a lot about that, because she's, in our early travel days, I would also be like, I can't fit any more into the suitcase. It's full. No, it's not full. What's in your shoes? In my shoes. There's nothing in my shoes. Roll your socks and stuff them in your shoes and
Definitely.
stuff like that, so you can have.
Do you roll your clothes, or do you do flat?
Yeah, now I do, and now I roll them and tightly, and then I fit them into these packing cells.
You use the packing cell?
Yeah, and each of us in the family, we each have 2 packing cells, medium-sized packing cells, and within that one packing cell, I can have like 7 t-shirts and 7 underpants, and even 7 socks. Then it's really tightly filled, but that's all I need for 1 week. And then in a different cell, I have like long pants and shorts and a pullover. So that's sort of 2 cells is all I need for.
My wife uses the packing cell. I generally don't, only because of the shape of my carry-on suitcase. It sort of has a dip in the middle, and a ridge.
Yeah,
which is good for rolling things, because you can put it on each side of this ridge as you go.
Oh yeah.
In the top section, there is a bit I could use it that zip it in, but I like to put my electronic stuff in that zippered in section to hold it in place. So,
and for easy access, if you want.
Yeah. So I don't generally use one, but one thing packing cell does come in handy for is to put your dirty clothes in and take to the laundry and things like that. So
true.
It's always a great thing to do with your packing cell.
Yeah. We have for dirty clothes, we have it's sort of a bag, sort of a watertight
drawstring bag.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we have a couple of them as well.
Yeah, it's good. I really enjoy going into shops that have this kind of stuff, and I can easily get into buying stuff that I really do not need. We talked about Black Friday at the beginning of this episode. Should something come up for this Black Friday where I can go into an outdoor shop and find gear like that, that's where I'm easily falling into the bad habit of buying stuff that I don't need, because I love this stuff.
I bought a new power bank for one of my phones the other day.
Oh yeah.
Pushes into the bottom of the phone, just like a portable one. So I was okay, I could do with one of them. And I bought one of them waterproof little sack bags that you can roll up. Because I thought, what if it rains? I've got a camera that needs to go in there, doesn't it?
Obviously, yeah.
I bought a new microphone for some vlogging, because I actually had 2 little DJI microphones and I lost one in China. I don't know whether it fell off my bag. I had it clipped too, but I was pretty upset about that because they're about $180 each.
They are expensive,
and I'd only had it for a couple of weeks, so I was actually pretty devo about that. So, I want to be much more careful with it, because I really need to. Because if me and Rebecca are filming for YouTube, we both need a speaker, otherwise the sounds a bit crappy when one person's really clear and the other person.
And these DJI microphones, actually, I was going to ask you about that. Are they easy to pair with your camera? If I don't know if you use your phone or you have a separate camera.
If you've got Bluetooth, if your camera's got Bluetooth, you can just connect it via Bluetooth to your phone or your camera. If it's not, and you've got like a old DSLR or something, they actually come with. You can get like a home-based docking thing that plugs into your camera, and then they will connect to this other dock that sits on top. But that makes the system dearer. If you only need the little speaker, the little microphone, that's a lot cheaper. So
Yeah.
They're still pretty dear though. Like I think a whole kit, even with the docking stations, around $500 or $600.
Yeah, they are.
For two speakers. I think.
But if you are a vlogger, you need it. I mean, it's. I see them all over. All the YouTubers that I follow, they more or less all of them. They use these DJI. They have this wind socket on it. The
little fluffy bits on top.
Yeah.
I don't like them. If it's not windy, I don't use them. So I think they look a little bit I don't know, a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Makes you stand out a little bit too much. You can sort of get away with it a bit if you've just got a black t-shirt on and a black speaker, and sees you, and you can just sort of walk around a little bit incognito. But if you put the wind muff on top of it,
are you uncomfortable vlogging in other people's presence?
I've gotten better, I must admit. I watched a few videos on this, and people are like, you've just got to take no notice, and you just got to do it. If you want to succeed, you've just got to do it, and why care what people think who don't know you, just do, you've got to be out there. If you want to be there, you need to be present, you need to be out there, you need not worry about it. And that's a really hard thing to do, actually.
It is.
But I have got better at not worrying, where once upon a time I would never film when there was people around. But people who are successful just film wherever they want.
Yeah.
It's just what you got to do. You just got to go, I don't know these people. I don't care what they think. I'm trying to, have a successful channel or a successful business. And, I can't let these people, the fear of what people are thinking about me, who I don't know, affect what I'm doing.
True. I agree. Absolutely. I agree. But it is a mental challenge to begin with. It is something, no, I don't really feel comfortable speaking out loud about this and that. But yeah, and also you maybe that's what I've been thinking. Sometimes, people, if you want to film and report from a certain environment, you don't want people to take notice because you want it to be authentic.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't really hold water, that argument, because you just gotta have to, be able to report and just do it. And I've seen a couple of times people coming back to this didn't happen to me, but another vlogger I saw live in Munich, and there were, because Germans and their privacy and they went up to them and said, I don't want to be filmed. Well, first of all, you are allowed to film anywhere public, at least in Germany, you are allowed to do that. And secondly, why would I don't worry about that if I'm filmed and end up in someone else's vlog. I mean, that can happen. But I see vloggers, they blur people's face.
Yeah, the backgrounds and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't go that far yet.
Yeah, it's just,
it is what it is. I mean, the only thing I really try and be careful about is if there's a lot of kids around. I guess people get a bit touchy about that. Especially if you're down the beach or something and there's kids running around in bathing suits and and things like that. Like, I mean, because no one actually knows who you are or what you're doing, I guess. In the beginning. I mean, I'm not running around taking photos of kids in bathers or anything.
Of course not.
They just happen to be in the background of a scene at a beach or something like that. But Rebecca's always big on that. My wife, she always saying, just be careful because there's a lot of kids here and a lot of families and things like that. So I go, And
it is true. I mean, you have to respect and you have to respect people's feelings about this. And if should someone come up to me and say, I'm not really comfortable with you filming here, I would probably respect that. I would just say, don't worry. I'm just doing a story. This has nothing to do with you. I'm just filming a story and want to go on, but I will respect what you're saying and just.
You do any YouTubing anymore? Like, you used to make some really good YouTube. So I used to like your channel. Your channel was really good.
Thank you very much. I maybe I could plug a link to that, because I had a whole year. I would do once a month. I would do like a 10-minute vlog about living in Germany.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But I haven't, after a year, I would kind of follow the season, what's kind of the thing going on at this particular time of the year. But after that 1 year, I just, I always say, in vlogging, in blogging and anything, even in podcasting, story is king. You have, as long as the story is good, you can engage your audience. And I kind of struggled with the vlog after a while, saying, what kind of interesting stuff can I report? So that's really what it comes down to. Also, I must say, yeah, it is. It is. I must say, it's also a lot of work doing a proper video.
It is a lot of work. I can tell you. I'm just putting one together at the moment. About 7 days that we spent in the town that Willow's in, and I'm trying to chop 8 days into, and I'm so far up to about 48 minutes. And
oh wow!
Look at it, and I go, still the amount of editing I'm going to have to do, and the amount of voiceover work I'm going to have to do, and transitions and things like this to make some of these parts work. And one of the things that I always find is I always come back from somewhere and I go, I never actually finished. I never actually did a finish. Like I never summed it up on camera and went, oh, okay. So we've been here now, and this is what we loved about it. I'll do all this filming and then I'll just forget one bit all the time or something.
Yeah.
I'll go,
yeah. No, it is a lot of work, and if you don't do it like professionally, there can be shortcuts on the computer and workarounds that you're not familiar with. It can take a lot of time. Whereas if you're a professional and you're used to working in whatever software you're editing in, you can quickly get to a good result. But whereas if you're an amateur and don't do it on an everyday basis, editing like what you say 48-minute video at the moment, that takes a lot of time. It really does.
I've been working on that for about 3 weeks. I reckon I'm about 20 odd hours in at least onto it. And I haven't even finished adding all the footage I need, but you really need to go in with a plan, and that's something I lack. Like I know a lot of deficits I have in my creative output at this stage, and because when I'm going somewhere like China, I don't actually know what I'm going to see. So I don't really have a great plan. I just go and I film as much stuff as I can, and then I come home and I go, okay, now let's try and put this together with the voiceover or with what I've said while I'm there. But yeah, it sort of makes it hard. If you had enough time and you could plan out exactly what you're going to do, it would make it a lot easier. But yeah, when you're going overseas, a lot of it's fly by the seat of your pants, and you go, okay, well, I might go here, but actually this is going to make a good YouTube video.
Yeah,
I haven't had any time to research it, or but I'm here now, so I need to start filming, and things like that.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about what you're saying, because a couple of very famous YouTubers they've addressed this particular thing. Because if you have to follow sort of a script every time, that can be stressful, because then you probably want to get to a certain location and do the proper filming at maybe even a certain time of day or whatever. Whereas if you just travel and enjoy the travel and make sure, like you do, film as much as you can, then the story eventually will evolve and that you find a narrative somehow.
It takes you a little bit longer to edit it because you've got so much footage, and you go, well, I can't just show it all. And in today's society of TikTok lovers, where everyone's got a short span of attention, there's a lot of, I find I need to do a lot of splicing and cutting and and keeping scenes shorter and moving all the time, because that's the attention span of what people want to watch today. If I put a clip that goes for 1 minute of me walking somewhere looking at something, after 10 seconds or 15 seconds, people are going to go, nah. But if I cut that clip into 4 or 5 sections, I can probably splice it in through the whole movie in different bits to use that whole clip. You know what I mean? But if I just had that running for 1 minute in the clip, people would go, even if it was super useful to, show where we were doing it, people would turn off. So
it's really, it's very interesting, because that certainly is a consideration that most content creators they need to make. Having said that, I'm actually well, maybe it's because of my age, so maybe I'm a different target group, but I enjoy YouTube videos that are sort of slow. There's this is very specific, but there's a guy living in Portland, Oregon, who has a wood shop, and he's taking all these very, very huge wooden chunks, and he creates like furniture, tables, and he will sometimes mix it with acrylic plate, because in the wooden oars and stuff, there can be spaces, and he will fill it up with PVC
resin and stuff like that.
Yeah. He will polish it and make it. And these videos, they take like 45 minutes. He films them over what I guess will be months. But even cut down to like 45 minutes, it's a long video, and there are long steps where you just see what he's doing, and he will do time lapses and stuff, but it's enjoyable. And for me, it's kind of soothing. When I have my lunch or whatever, I will put one of those videos and just relax watching this unearth this beautiful table or whatever it is he's doing. I enjoy that, but it's different when it's a travel video. But have you heard about the movement of I think we touched base on this. There's a channel where they put a camera in front of a train, and they just for 8 hours straight.
The train drives. I've seen a few of them.
So there are videos like that where
there's something out there for interesting for some people.
But the premise is set from the beginning, so you know what you're going into, and it's probably a different.
It's very very niche, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
That's what I like. I want to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you are right. You probably, as a content creator, particularly in terms of travel, you want to, attract as many types of audience as possible, and there should be a little bit for every taste. So, and what we're doing right now, a podcast, is also not to everyone's taste, because you have. Depending on how you're using podcasts or listening to podcasts, that you can put on a pair of headphones and just do other things whilst listening to it, or you can sit down and have a cup of coffee for an hour and listen to it. I don't know. It depends on what type of person you are, doesn't it?
Most definitely.
Yeah. So, Mark, this has been yet another hour in good company.
At least this one, isn't it? This might be the longest one we've actually done.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoy these, and we're gonna have one next week as well. Mark, can you tell us quickly about because we talked about it before we started recording, but the website is coming up. What's the plan there?
Yeah, so we have a website. I'm still just refining it a little bit, but there'll be each week when we release a podcast, there'll be a link. There'll be a couple of articles that come out. There'll be a transcript of this. So if you don't want to actually listen to the podcast, you can read the podcast, I guess. If that's what you want to do. I'm not quite sure how you'll find it just by reading it, but nevertheless, that option is there. And then there will be an article also with an embedded version of our podcast from either Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, maybe all of them. Maybe I'll just embed all three players in each article, so you can take your choice on which platform you're a member of or which platform you want to listen to it on.
Exactly.
So that'll be it at this stage, and there'll be an About Us page, a little bit about me and Anders, and so it'll come along slowly. It's actually live at the moment, but I'm not going to give you the address because it still just needs a little bit of refining first. So next week we'll release the address, and you can have a look if you want to.
Yeah, and you can also already now you can look us up at on Facebook. There's
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah,
we're everywhere.
Exactly.
Cover the market. I'm going to blanket the market.
Yeah. No, it's coming along nicely. It's a hobby thing we do.
Definitely.
But if you have suggestions, please do write. Mark, I also wanted to mention we have an increasing number of listeners. I still need the final analytics. It takes a while. up to at least a month to start getting some proper analytics on listeners, but I can see that it's slowly coming together, and we are having an increasing number of listeners. So thank you very much for listening.
It's really, most definitely.
Yeah,
we appreciate everyone that takes the time to tune in to listen to me and Anders chat about something we're passionate about, or even just ramble on about something we're talking about.
Exactly. So thank you very much, and have a good week, and we'll be back again in about a week's time.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.